So I'm Mark Russinovich. I'm the Chief Technology Officer as well as the Deputy CISO and a Technical Fellow in Azure.
And in 2010, you were the man who got the cloud computing arm off the ground. You got Azure off the ground.
Well, I was one of them. I was there
pretty.
Yeah. There a lot of people got Azure off the ground, but I was there at the beginning and helped lead technical strategy and architecture for it.
Is it possible just to take yourself back to 2010 and give us a sense of the palpable excitement there must have been around that time?
Well, actually, it was kind of interesting because nobody knew what cloud was at Microsoft. Nobody knew what Azure was. And so on my first all hands, I went and presented to about 200 people, which was about the size of the Azure team at the time. So, and that was about the number of people that knew what Azure was at Microsoft. So very early kind of, we're doing a startup, we're trying to prove something, and fast forward to today, and Microsoft's built on top of Azure.
So it's easy today, but was it actually quite hard in those days?
Oh yeah, for sure. There was no roadmap, there was no software you could pick up and just use. We had to develop everything from scratch.
Have you been surprised by how utterly successful cloud has been?
I'm not surprised, I'm very pleased. I was hoping that it would be this successful, and I thought if any company was in a good position to have a successful hyperscale cloud platform, it'd be Microsoft.
Now, you've very kindly agreed to speak at Rust Nation. You did the keynote at Rust Nation. But the keynote was called Microsoft is Getting Rusty, a review of successes and challenges. Microsoft is getting rusty. I now understand. You're moving Microsoft to Rust from C++.
That's right.
Why so?
It's because primarily of security vulnerabilities in C, C++. As much as you've got a fantastic dev that understands safe programming, secure programming, it's inevitable that bugs are going to leak in. We've just seen that just historically. And there's been efforts to make C, C++ safer, but it's like bolting on safety to a system that's fundamentally not designed for it. So along comes Rust, system designed from the start to be safe, memory safe, concurrency safe, and approachable kind of language. And it's reached the level of maturity that we were looking at what we could do about our unsafe code and said Rust is the answer here.
To quote you back from 30 minutes ago, you said, it's not all roses in the garden, but it's rosy enough.
That's right.
What did you mean by that?
Well, I meant that Rust takes some getting used to, especially for people that have done C, C++ code, which are typically the people that are then moving to Rust because they're systems programmers. So they're working in languages that can't tolerate garbage collection, because otherwise they would use a higher level language like Java or C# or Go, for example. So those people are used to doing a certain thing a certain way. They run into Rust and its concepts around memory ownership and safety and the kind of guardrails that puts around them, and they struggle with it for a while. Like I mentioned in the keynote, there's usually a breakthrough a few months in, and then they become lovers of Rust and feel themselves to be much more productive.
So you've been talking about accelerated migration.
Yeah.
Are you really going to move Azure over to Rust? Lock, stock, and barrel?
Well, we're going to be thoughtful about it. So I talked about, for example, about Windows and what we're doing with Rust and Windows, and we're starting with the most security sensitive areas of Windows, the ones that have historically had a lot of vulnerabilities. That's code that was written 25 years ago, that it continues to surface problems. That code is the highest priority. And there's lots of other code that's not reachable by untrusted interface and untrusted data that we might defer to later, maybe never port it. But certainly anything security sensitive is at the top of our list.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about Microsoft Azure. Massive business. Where are the growth areas? Where's the growth prospects for that massive business?
Well,
big
fantastic.
question.
I mean, we're heading into, we had client server, then we had browser, then we had mobile, then we had cloud, and now we've got Gen AI. And that is a paradigm shift. It's driving huge amounts of demand for computing infrastructure, for cloud hyperscalers around the world. And so I think the prospects are very rosy.
You're one of the hyperscalers. Do you expect to be one of the AI winners?
Absolutely. I mean, AI and hyperscale goes hand in hand. If you're not doing AI well, you're not going to remain a hyperscaler for very long.
Mark, it's been a complete pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Donald.